46, ordinance 2024-0027, ordinance to amend police department regulations and consolidate laws on vehicle towing. And we were in recess because Alderman Weigel wanted to make some comments, and
Yes.
does that still hold true?
Yes, yes, it does. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I've been doing some research on this, speaking to several people in the industry, our police chief. So historically, our towing contract had a line that said that the business must have a location in West Dallas. And that might have made sense at one time. You think about the time when a lot of homes were one car homes. You know, if you wake up in the morning, your car's towed away because you parked on the wrong side of the street or snowstorm issues or whatever, and it was you know, almost say a convenience, you know. But I think most people, whether you have a second car in your family, or we live in such a communicative society now that if you needed a ride somewhere right now, you probably have 5 people you could call that could drive you to the tow lot instead of you having to hoof it. Or there's Uber, you know. So the transportation things have been really made much more easy. Or next month you could take a Lime scooter over whenever we get that approved, right?
We held that tonight.
Oh, you did? I was looking forward to.
Yeah, no, they're just working on details.
Okay. And then the issue is that apparently we are very likely the only community that does this. And understand that having a towing company in our community doesn't mean they're our towing company. Most of these companies have contracts with multiple cities. And so you think the advantage of, well, if they're in West Dallas, you know, when it snows, that they're closer here. Well, they have contracts to tow for, when it snows in West Dallas, it snows in Greenfield, New Berlin, Franklin, where all these other municipalities. But this requirement of having a West Dallas location meant, I believe, that only one company had been bidding on the contract, you know, so there was, because nobody else, whether they didn't want to bother to, or, you know. Now, I talked to the police, NS done a bang-up job for them. Apparently, they're very helpful to the police department and the fire department. Hopefully, you know, this kind of thing, and this is not an anti-NS issue. This is a pro-city issue that I think I never like it when you only have one bidder on a contract. You know, I don't know what we're gaining. I did talk to the police chief. He said that these aren't the hard numbers, but to his way of thinking, the one thing that we'd be missing out on is a short tow cycle time on, say, State Fair Week. Well, State Fair Week isn't terrible because we have State Fair in Greenfield and New Berlin don't, so that those 2 busy weekends. But the snowplow nights, okay? Well, and we've been wrestling with this plowing issue, and it is very important to get our cars towed. But the chief said in a conversation with me that he said these aren't the actual numbers, but his thinking is that if they call in 50 cars doing a towing operation, only 5 end up getting towed, because by the time the tow truck would get there, the resident would already have moved the car, okay? So I don't know if we allow this new contract to have the vendor be outside the city. The question is, how far outside the city do we let them go? That's going to be up to all of you guys in particular, but all of us, you know, in reality. So what's a sensible, you know, number? And I'm not a fan, as long as I'm still talking, I'm not a fan of time, or even, I think we have in the contract now reasonable distance. Is that what it says? That, you know, what is, you know, reasonable? I mean, I guess it could be, I mean, I'd like to see some sort of mile number, a number of miles put down. It should certainly, you know, maybe not be 10, you know, maybe not 15. The chief said 7, you know. I don't know, I didn't look at a map. You know, I guess maybe reasonable allows us the flexibility, because what if we get 2 bidders and one's very qualified and is a very good price for us, but he's at 7.5 miles, and then there is one at 6.5, but they're more expensive and they've got a less good reputation, then they point the finger at us, and I'll leave that up to the contract writers, I guess, or this committee, but, so that's my, I'll call homework on this topic, so.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, please.
I just want to add to the conversation. I think we visited this like several years ago when Alderwoman Keene and I were looking at changing the ordinances for the snow emergencies and whatnot. And upon my research, I had discovered, and thereafter that we didn't, when we put the RFP out, we only had, I think, 3 bids, if I'm correct, Rebecca, and 2 were distance-wise, although they had good reputation. What I had discovered and what was already signed off on is that NNS had an exclusive contract with us, not allowing us to have any other tow facilities within our city. And also, the fact that, as you said, Chief would say, okay, we may call 250 cars in and we're getting maybe 5 towed. It's not helping our DPW. It's not helping the problems that we're having in the city. I'm a big fan of opening up and having, even if it is a little bit of a distance, I think that's kind of the natural consequence of people when they are illegally parked, that they'll figure out how to get their vehicle, even if you're in a different municipality and you illegally parked, or you just need that. My concern with this, I don't have any concern with opening up the contract or having it a distance or having to have an actual tow lot here. What concerned me is probably more contractual stuff, and I don't think we're discussing that tonight, but only having 2 dedicated vehicles within that contract for snow. I don't find that acceptable. And what you do, just like anybody else is going to do, when the snow comes, you're chasing the money. If you have a contract that's only paying $25 a tow, and you've got somebody in a ditch that you can charge $150, that fleet of trucks is going to go over there. So I think when we do negotiate these contracts, we need to have a little bit more dedication to whomever we are doing the contracts with. But I'm not opposed to not having the location here, but I just want to give you all that information.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Please.
In your work on the snow emergency stuff, can we up the fine severely for snow emergency towing and use that to pay the towing company to put us at the top of the list?
Unfortunately, no, and I would let Attorney Decker
Yeah, but-
speak to that, because he's already shaking, he's shaking his head, and I already knew the answer.
I spoke with Alderperson Grisham about this years ago, and she already,
Went down that
years
road?
ago, maxed the fine out for the city. There's a state law that imposes a limit on the amount that can be charged for the actual citation. The amount of the tow itself is negotiable, but that's what this amendment would do, and what the current law also does is it requires tow companies to provide what their fees are going to be. And so the company commits to that, and then the council selects a bidder based upon those fees and what they're comfortable with. So there wouldn't be a way to generate revenue through the fine, but the fee itself would be something that would allow the tow company to be, it'd be more lucrative for a tow company if they quoted a certain amount.
And within, if I may, and within that contract, could we say, we're going to let you charge more for snow emergency tows? You could say it's a hazardous weather tow, or, because clearly when it's a snow emergency, it's more hazardous for them to drive their vehicles on the road, however it gets phrased or whatever. You know.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to stick it in everybody's eyes, for just a regular tow, run-of-the-mill parking violation, but I think, because we need those streets cleared in the wintertime.
We do.
So that's not in the current version, but I don't see a reason why you couldn't add that either into the ordinance itself, or the ordinance does provide some flexibility on how contracts are phrased. And Public Works, the Committee of Public Works, decides what that contract's going to look like, so they could always just implement that even without changing the ordinance.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I think that would be a great, Mr. Chair, if I may just add to it, like, I was not a fan that we give an exclusive contract to a towing agency that's only going to promise us the 2. And not saying anything against NNS, it would be any towing company where they're allowed to have 10 contracts with other municipalities. Then where are we as a priority? If we were doing that, kind of speaking to how you had to be in our city. So it would open it up to having multiple contracts if we so chose at some point, where other municipalities can come in and service us as well. I think that's not a bad idea going forward. And that's it, I'm zipping in.
I'm done too.
Anyone else?
Thank you for waiting for me.
I move approval of item 46,
Second,
With no amendments, right?
with no amendments at this time. No.
can always open
Okay,
it back up.
It's been motioned to moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.